So let's look at Apple then, because it's been a huge week. It's on pace for the best week since December of 2021. A variety of reasons, obviously. Tim Cook was at the White House this week. They make this pledge of a greater investment in the United States. Maybe the tariffs on India aren't going to have as punitive an impact on Apple as they will on some other companies. The target today goes to 260 from 240. That's a buy at Melius Research. It's a reiteration. And Dan Ives, he puts out a note that says Apple needs to do three things. Do the Perplexity acquisition before it's too late. Bring in outside talent to the management team. And do the Google Gemini partnership. Are they going to do any of these things?
They should. They should, because otherwise there's a little bit of an air pocket in terms of valuation under this company. And we can talk about, they buy back shares. They're a big part of the indices. We got all that. But this stock is now punching above its weight class in terms of the earnings, the forward earnings multiple versus its growth rate. And if we're going to keep this multiple, you've got to juice the growth rate. And any of those things would do it, Scott. Yes, we've got to pump. We've got to jump in the stock this week on the CapEx announcement. But, so far that's just expenditures. That doesn't say anything about the return on those investments.
I think it's more about, yes, obviously the investment's part of it, but if the two men, President Trump and Tim Cook, needed some kind of détente here, this week may have provided that. That's hard to calculate in terms of the monetary value that is added to a stock. Obviously, if you're not going to have as punitive an impact from tariffs as some others are related to India, that's hard right now to calculate, but that could be what's at work here. So I think it's a little more than just writing a check.
I do too, and I completely agree with the Chiron that's on the screen right now. Does Apple need an AI acquisition? Yes, and without it, there's a problem. That's what I'm saying, simply.
Easier said than done.
Well, isn't the pushback?
Well, why? I mean, these people have a mountain of cash. Mountain. Like Everest.
Perplexity is a minor blip on the radar compared to their cash pile. But real quick, I just want to go back to something you said. Isn't the knock on Apple, hasn't the knock on Apple for several years been that the multiple is unwarranted given its revenue and earnings growth rates? What's new today compared to, say, 3 years ago?
Well, because if you had a multiple that was like low double digits, low, ex cash, I mean, you were looking at a stock that was judged to be cheap on almost any metric. Now, if you look at what their valuation is, a far different picture.
But, or maybe I can answer it this way, Dan. I mean, if you look at the recent results longer than this week, they're kind of punk. I mean, I'm looking right now. Obviously, we know this, right? Year to date, it's down 9.2%. 1 year up 6.8%. The S&P is up 21. I can do this. You can do this.
Of course.
So I think that, again, that is reflective of a stock that had run up and needed to digest its multiple. If we're going to stay at this multiple, we need a growth rate in net income that's just, it's bigger than the high single digits.
I mean, listen, the whole street's talking about Perplexity. I think just from a consensus standpoint, they probably need to do something along those lines. Yeah. But I would just add, revenue's up $100 billion. Net income is basically doubled over the last couple of years. They are doing something right here.
China's getting better.
China's getting better. And Tim Cook up at the White House yesterday diffusing the most acute near-term threat to them, which obviously is President Trump's tariffs and other trade items. I'm saying I keep hearing for years this company is too expensive, and yet it keeps doing what it's been doing.
Your Honor, request permission to cross-examine the witness.
Please, go ahead.
Okay. I think, look, I'm seeing different numbers, okay, Dan, because net income. 3-year annualized is basically flat. Now, 5 years, 11.1%.
I'm going back a couple more years. That's fair.
Okay, because we're catching that right after COVID boost. But really, that lasted until 2022. We haven't done much since then. So the point that I'm driving
at... And I agree with that. The numbers are the numbers.
Okay, so the net income needs to grow. And they're not going to... If they're just going to sell more of these, I mean, yeah, I need a new one. But that's not going to move the net income needle. You've got to have this AI capability that's long in coming.
Services just hit an all-time high of $27.4 billion. Without AI. But I think we all
go, what's the growth rate in that?
It's just
what's
not
the growth rate in
the growth
services?
rate overall.
It's really declined.
Look, I'm not saying go out and sell it here. I think they will solve this. I think they will solve this. Perplexity to me seems like a very good idea, and what Dan Ives said, yeah, better get it done now, because last I saw, OpenAI is valued at $500 billion. Perplexity, these numbers are going to go up by the second.
Tim Cook's also a good gift giver. Because he gifted the president the plaque with like 24-karat gold on it, which is a cheap segue for me to gold hitting a record high. So Tim Cook knows what he's doing.